the bottom of it with your host, Joshua Moriarty.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to episode 62 of The Bottom of It. Pleasure to have you. Thanks for tuning in and using up your precious data allowance. It's appreciated. Hey, what's news? Yes, the debut Telenova single is out. My new band with Ed and Ange, my fave new musical buds. Love those two. The song is called Bones. It's available all the digital places and all that stuff. Thanks to Pointer Records for putting it out. Check it out if you get a minute. I'd appreciate it. We've been playing a bunch of shows. All's been going great. We were in Sydney a few weeks back, and that's how I managed to tee up today's episode, actually. We had a few days off, and I'd been trying to arrange something with Murray Cook for when he was in Melbourne or I was in Sydney, and it finally connected. So here we are. I've always wanted to have a good old chat with the Wiggles, so this was a special one for me. There's been a lot of questions I'd wanted to ask and get to the bottom of it the best I could. Murray Cook is a legend. Every time I mentioned to anyone I was going to be interviewing him, everyone spoke very highly of him and said he was a top bloke, and he didn't disappoint. It was a treat to get to have a conversation. So the Wiggles formed, if you don't know, I'll do a little bit of backstory. The Wiggles formed all the way back in 1991. At the time, Murray Cook, Anthony Field, and Greg Page were all studying early childhood education, and they'd all been involved in music with various projects throughout the 80s, playing in different bands. Jeff Fatt was the fourth member in Purple Wiggle, and he was him and Anthony were old bandmates from the 80s Australian band The Cockroaches. Now they got together, and I mean, look, the rest, as they say, is history. They toured like maniacs. They did Australia. They went on to America, sometimes playing up to 500 shows in a year. They release an album almost every year, sometimes even more than that. They're going to be one of the hardest working bands in show business. The internet told me they've sold 23 million DVDs, 7 million CDs, and have performed on average to 1 million people per year. And they've had 2 billion streams on YouTube. I reckon it's all probably more than that now. Jesus, that's very, very impressive stuff. Now, in 2012, Murray left the Wiggles along with Greg and Jeff, and then since then, Murray has been working with the group The Soul Movers alongside his musical sister and soul, Lizzie Mack, and playing guitar with a bunch of other people and featuring as guests on a few projects. If you checked out the Wiggles' recent cover of Tame Impala's Elephant on Triple J's Like a Version, Murray was back in his red turtleneck playing guitar with the gang. Yeah, he's still involved with a lot of music. So Murray and I had a good old chat. We talked about the idea of infinite wiggledom, American Stalkers, his collaboration with DZ Death Rays, touring like mad, the joys of playing in a band without any of the responsibility, which is something I also really, really enjoy. A whole bunch of things as we do here on the Bottom of It podcast. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, episode 62 with Murray Cook. Enjoy. How did you meet Bernadette?
We just met her online, I think.
Yeah.
Just on Facebook. I think Lizzie from our band sent her a message, and we were kind of talking about doing something last year, I think, and then all
Like doing
like just a show together.
Yeah,
with our
sure.
band,
Yeah, because I was at that one.
Oh yeah, at the Nightcat.
At the Nightcat, yeah.
That was a bit of fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was nice of her band to learn the songs too.
Yeah, so who did you bring? It was you and Lizzie.
Yeah, that was all. Yeah.
That was it?
Yeah.
And then they learned the songs.
Yeah.
So you played the Hot Sauce, which was the new
Yeah,
single.
it was that single. And
then was it a Sherbet song?
Yeah, because Garth Porter from Sherbet produced the album.
Is there two guys from Sherbet?
Yeah, and Tony played bass on the album, and he's been doing some shows with us.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't really know Sherbet. I grew up in New
you're
Zealand.
probably too young. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you might be too young too.
Yeah.
It was kind of 70s around the...
I was looking it up today.
Yeah.
How's That was the
Yeah,
record,
well, that was a big international hit. That was a big top 10 in Germany and the UK.
So it's got to be on Gold 104 or like classic
Yeah,
radio
it turns
station.
up every now and then, I think. Yeah.
I've been living here nearly 20 years,
Okay.
and I've pretty much got up to speed with everything
yeah,
Australian.
yeah.
Like
Well, they're not forgotten, but they're you don't sort of hear about them a lot. But Daft Punk actually sampled one of in the 80s they changed their name to the Sherbs, and it wasn't all that successful. But Daft Punk sampled something from
Which Daft Punk song is that?
Contact, I think it's called.
Which one's
Yeah,
Contact?
I don't know.
Do you follow Daft Punk?
Not closely. They're good, but
It's an interesting one. Their announcement of the ending of their band.
Yeah.
I don't believe it for a second.
yeah, I think it's just a ploy.
Yeah, just get the streams up.
Yeah.
A way to promote yourself again, and then
Yeah.
in 5 or 10 years' time,
Yeah.
when you do something else.
No one would know anyway if they.
No, exactly. It was always sort of a question of whether they were actually on tour underneath those helmets,
Yeah.
or whether they had fill-ins.
Yeah.
Which is actually, I guess, I was talking to friends about this, and with the Wiggles as well. It's like, how many projects can keep going almost indefinitely with people changing or without anyone?
Yeah. Well, that was a bit of an experiment too, like just like 3 leaving and.
Yeah, and so you kept
yeah.
one, and then you got
Anthony stayed, and
the
the other 3 changed, and it took a little while for it to take hold. But
so you said, I mean, I was reading the Wikipedia and a few other things. Yeah, they're just sort of saying the children don't really notice so much. It's more the parents.
yeah, well, the kids. I mean, if it's mostly little kids, and so the audience is mostly quite young, like preschool. It goes into school a bit, but so if you leave it, if you're around for a few years, the ones coming up don't know the old Wiggles because it's been 8 years. So if you're 4. They don't know us, you know.
What's the sort of like cap on the age usually? Like how old do you notice the fans being?
Probably around 7 or 8.
7 or 8.
Yeah. They get a bit of a hard time sometimes at school if they make it known because other kids will say, "Oh, the Wiggles, that's for babies."
Yeah, of course.
So there's coolness even at that age. What's cool and what's not.
I would have missed it. I mean, it started in 1991, right?
91, yeah.
Yeah, I would have been about 7 or 8 then, and in New Zealand as
Yeah,
well.
well, it took a little while to get into New Zealand, but they're actually they're in New Zealand now. So.
Right, what's happening there at the moment?
They're touring. Yeah.
So it's a non-stop machine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously with COVID, they stopped for a while, but they were just filming so they went over in quarantine for 2 weeks. And
Wow. How big is the tour?
I can't remember how many dates. It's fairly big though.
And you were tour managing for a while.
Yeah, just a little. I was kind of booking the shows. Yeah, but it didn't really agree with me. I wasn't that great at it. I don't think.
It's not a job I've ever really wanted to do.
It's also tough when you were one of the Wiggles because you can't get heavy with people. Like sometimes you got to like be a bit pushy, and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's not a job I've ever. It's after being in a band, I just want to be the person in the band. I don't. want to have to be the one.
Well, I had the Soul Movers, but I also play with another guy, a singer-songwriter, and it's kind of like a little holiday because the Soul Movers is my band.
Yeah, you got a lot of work to do.
So yeah, she does most of the sort of bookings and stuff, but I'm pretty heavily involved in that. And sometimes it's nice to just go and play with someone where you just turn up and
That's
play.
kind of all I really want to do
Yeah.
these
What
days.
do you play?
I play bass and play guitar and sing. But in Miami Horror, the the biggest
Oh,
band
that's
I've
right.
been
Yeah, I forgot that you're in that.
Yeah, that one is mostly organised by everyone else, and I
Yeah.
just turn up and be the front man,
Yeah,
and it is awesome.
Cool.
And I don't have to worry about anything. But I had another band that I was doing with some good friends, and so much stress and
That's
and money as well.
yeah.
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 And I guess you just don't really know. You just have no control over what project you're in is going to be successful and make you.
Oh yeah, not at all.
Yeah. So how many bands were you in before the Wiggles? There's Bang Shang-a-Lang. There was another one that I've got it all written down.
Yeah, no, Bang Shang-a-Lang was actually during the Wiggles time. That's on Wikipedia. It's a little bit wrong. I keep meaning to get it changed, or I don't really do it. But Bang Shang-a-Lang was just a cover band that I played with, but with some of the same people. So I had a band called the Transistors.
Yes.
That kind of morphed into Finger Guns.
Yes, Happy Screams was the song.
Yeah,
You playing on that one? That's you playing on that
Yeah,
song?
yeah.
It
So
was
I
like
played
kind of
bass on
Cure sounding 80s vibe. I like that.
A bit of Sunny Boys-ish kind of, yeah. But, so we did that for sort of on and off for many years. And then I decided that music probably wasn't going to be the thing for me.
Right.
And I went to university. I was 28 and studied early childhood, and that's where I met Anthony. And the other guys. And
Did you already have children at that point?
No.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It looks like so much. I'm just watching the videos of you guys. It just looks so joyful and
Yeah, it really was.
free.
Joy was really what it was about,
Yeah.
for us and for the audience. And it was, even now because I run into 20-somethings on the street and they say things like, "Oh, you were my childhood. You're a legend." But it's always with a smile. They're always,
of course.
It's a happy memory for them, which is really lovely.
Yeah, it's such a nice thing to have been able to do. I just don't know how, it's not something, I think I've been too rock and roll ego driven to have ever thought about going in that direction.
No, I guess it's just, I think it is because for me anyway, the way it came about, because I had decided to just be a teacher and so I studied that and I taught for a little while, and because we were working with kids and the other guys were musicians too, we kind of just thought it'd be fun to put an album out. We didn't sort of necessarily think it was going to be our career.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, wow. And then what, like an album every year for...
Oh, yeah, probably more, yeah.
Yeah.
I think two or three something. It's like like it used to be in the 60s, you just churn out.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And so what was the sort of writing process for that?
We wrote a lot together. We wrote a bit apart. It was lots of different combinations. So sometimes it was just whoever was there in the studio when we were doing it. Sometimes, one of us would bring a whole song.
I guess, is it easier when you've only got to write a minute and a half to two, not
probably.
too many?
You didn't have to write many bridges, or middle eights.
Yeah, sure. I guess it's...
But, it's still, you got to come up with something catchy and something that really connects with. I think the lyrics in some ways, they seem really simplistic, but in some ways there's a lot of thought behind it.
Yeah, of course. How do you sort of tap into that? Have you always sort of had that ability to be so playful and youthful, or is it sort of...
Well, yeah, I guess I did, but it was also when you do early childhood teaching, it's a bit different to say primary teaching. You learn a lot more about the way children think.
Okay.
So you look a lot at child development, child psychology, and then you plan your teaching based around that. So I guess we just knew a lot about the way kids think and how to deal with it. How to not deal with them, how to connect with them.
Yeah, sure.
And then as you do it, the longer you do it, it's like anything. The longer you do it, the better you get at it.
Yeah, did you notice the songs? Were you like, this one's going to be a smash and this one wasn't? Or like,
not really, no.
As the years went better, they got...
No, you didn't really... You didn't always know. Like, you usually knew which... If you'd written a bunch of songs, you usually knew which were the good ones and which would connect. And sometimes they're really just simple, or they came simply, they came quickly.
Yeah, I just wouldn't even have any idea what. But
I guess we say, what's in a child's world? What are they interested in? And because they're new to the world, everything's interesting to them. Food, going for a ride in the car, all that sort of stuff. So, but it's really putting yourself into the sort of mindset of the child, I guess.
Yeah, saying that you were looking at other sort of children's songs at the time and finding that it wasn't very inclusive, or it wasn't getting kids to sing along. Or...
Yeah, I think so. That was part of it. I mean, there was still lots of good stuff out there, but I guess it was a little bit of sort of, we were still young enough to have some youthful arrogance, and thought we knew better because we'd actually been trained.
You need that with any band as well, though, don't you? There needs to be like a belief in that.
Oh yeah,
we have something special.
And
and for the amount of years, I guess you had to put into it to get it to. But is it sort of like there was always something motivating you a little more to continue going? Like you see the successes enough to keep pushing it?
Yeah, I guess. Well, Anthony in particular is always has a million ideas, and I'm kind of like the guy who corrals that a bit.
Yeah.
So I guess we always had something else we wanted to do, and even like going overseas, going to America, we didn't sort of go there thinking, we're going to conquer America. We went there going, this will be fun, this will be an adventure. So we treated a lot of it just as an adventure and just to see where it would go.
Yeah, I wonder if there's something to that, if you can set it free a little bit or not be too...
Yeah, I think there is. I think if you sometimes if you want it too much, there's a balance. I think sometimes if you want it too much, it's pretty destroying when it doesn't happen. And you do. I mean, it didn't happen quite so much with the Wiggles, but other things I've done, you kind of need to stick at it sometimes. I think too.
So Soul Movers is what, there's 2 records out?
There's actually 3. There was a Soul Movers that I wasn't in.
Okay, so that's right.
The Soul Movers started because Lizzie and her partner at the time was Dennis Tech, who was in Radio Birdman.
Yes, of course.
And he's known for sort of hard rock stuff, but he's a big soul fan too. And they'd been together, and he didn't realise what a great singer she was. She wasn't kind of singing in public. And he just heard her singing in the shower, and he came in and went, "Where'd you learn to do that?" And so anyway, they then decided they wrote an album and recorded it really quickly, called it On the Inside. Recorded it in Melbourne, actually.
So what year is that then?
I think it's probably 2010, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then so they did some touring, and they went to Spain because Birdman have a big following there. So they went to Spain and did some touring there, which was successful. And but then Lizzie and Dennis broke up, and the band kind of just disappeared. Then, so
that's what happened.
I kind of knew her vaguely. I just because we both sort of went to gigs and stuff, and she's really tall, and so am I. So you kind of see each other and just go, "Oh, hi," I'm a tall person. And but I didn't realise, I didn't know anything about this record, and then I just saw it somewhere, and I got hold of it and played it, and I was like Dennis was. I was blown away with her voice, and I just sent her a message on Facebook and said, "Hey, I'd really like to do something together. Let's." And she said, "Oh, it's funny. I've been playing with these guys, just rehearsing once a week. Not anything particularly serious, but our guitar player's gone away for a few months. Do you want to come and play?" And so I did, and we did that for a few weeks, and then I said, "We should make like." She always says the Soul Movers was up on blocks, and I said we should put the wheels back on it and write some stuff and do some shows. And even then, it was still fairly low key. But we did recorded a few songs and recorded an album's worth of stuff. It was great at the time because I had access to the Wiggles studio, so we could record pretty cheaply. And and so we took it to ABC because ABC Music put out the Wiggles stuff, and they do contemporary stuff as well. And because I had a connection there, and it's a new band starting really. Yeah. So we didn't really ship it around, but yes, and they said they'd put it out.
Is it a difficult sort of transition as a songwriter switching from the children's music to?
Not so much because I'm fairly collaborative. Even in the Wiggles, it was a collaboration, and Lizzie again is like a real ideas person. She quite often comes up with the bare bones, or usually, sometimes we do it together, but there's kind of bare bones, maybe a little melody and usually lots of lyrics, and then I kind of piece it together and add my bits, and so no, I guess because she's kind of I'm happy for her to kind of lead the way a bit. I haven't found it difficult.
Yeah, it is quite nice having someone else lead the way a little bit as well, isn't it? So have you got a new record done and ready to come out?
Yeah, it's coming out. I don't know when this comes out, but
soon probably.
Yeah, on Friday. Yeah,
on Friday, okay.
Yeah, 26th of March, isn't it? 26th of March. It'll be out. We're doing our launch on Saturday, or we've done our launch on a recent Saturday.
Yeah, I'd say it would have been done. Where's the launch happening?
At the factory in Marrickville.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you'd go and can you do any of the other states, or is it too much COVID pain in the ass?
We are going to Melbourne in April. I think the 24th of April.
Where's
we'll be at the Cherry Bar.
Oh, yeah, sweet.
Yeah. So I think they've got limited capacity, so I think we're doing 2 shows on that.
Do you have like grand, ginormous schemes for this band? World domination? Can't be bothered anymore?
Not really. I mean, if we decide... We have been over to America a couple of times. The last album we did recorded there, and we did South by Southwest a couple of years ago. But look, I'd be happy if it's just ticks over and we can keep going. I just, for me, it's more a creative thing than wanting to be a huge and also we're kind of getting to the age where we're probably beyond it. Maybe
I wonder once you've done a certain amount of touring or anything like that, if to sort of what people's sort of ambitions for their musical career is past a certain point.
Look, I just want to keep playing, and and I can't see why I'd stop recording and playing with Lizzie. And we've had various lineups. Marco, the keyboard player, has been with us for quite a while now, and that's great. And he does some writing as well. But yeah, look, obviously, if you had a hit and it was successful, you'd follow.
You turn up.
Again, it's like I kind of follow things where they go. You push them, but you follow them where it goes a bit.
Yeah, is there sort of a musical ethic or an ethos or something you've sort of had through your career as a writer or anything?
I guess just putting the work in, It's interesting because, people often say when they see the Soul Movers schedule, pre-COVID, say, "Oh, gee, you guys tour a lot." But for me, compared to the Wiggles touring, no one tours a lot.
That sounded crazy. There was one thing that said 520 shows a year.
Yeah, in the early days when we were just doing regionals and all sorts. Because we do small shows, but we do multiples. So I remember one time we went to Western Australia, played Perth and did. I think it was 24 shows in 6 days.
That is madness.
So it was pretty crazy, but, I wouldn't want to go back to that, but I don't think many people do that. Yeah. And they've even sort of, brought it back a little bit.
The new lineup.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Well, there's still one of the old blokes in there, isn't
there?
Yeah.
So he's doing pretty well, though. Yeah. But, I know, I guess it's just putting in the work and trying to get in front of people. For me, it's all about playing live. That's the part I love the most. I love the connecting with the audience.
Yeah, I think I sort of similar thing. It's just there's a magical, special moment that happens, isn't there?
Yeah,
always. I think also just having sick musicians to be playing with as well keeps you so motivated.
Oh yeah.
And also just something about playing the same songs with the same people every night, but just the nuances of changing it and getting it that little bit tighter. And
well, even in the Wiggles, things used to change just minutely. And over a tour, if you're out for 6 weeks, you'd be doing the same songs and more or less the same routines, but it'd be quite different at the end.
Yeah.
And we find that with this too, like there's a lot of parallels, I think.
Is there any other projects you've been working on as well, or?
Not really, other than this songwriter John Kennedy, who I've played with for about 10 years. He kind of does his own thing, and he was around in the 80s. Another older writer and singer, but he was quite well known, especially in Sydney. He had a few bands, JFK and the Cuban Crisis and Love Gone Wrong, and they were quite popular in the sort of the indie scene. And then he went away for about 20 years, and he's been back in Australia for a while now. And so we play a bit, but as I say, I enjoy the part of that is that I just turn up and play.
Yeah,
but there's a lot more investment in the Soul Movers because that's my thing, mine and Lizzie's thing. And
do you have like a back catalogue of your own, just solo songs of you singing about all your feelings? And
no, not really. No, I don't do a lot of just writing by myself. Yeah, I kind of. I guess in the Wiggles, I wrote when there was something coming up that we had to write for. With the Soul Movers, it's usually Lizzie saying, let's do some writing.
Yeah.
We get together and she's got all these ideas on a phone. So I guess, I like to work hard, but I'm not driving that part of it.
Yeah, sure. Did you study music at all at any point? Or
just at school, and I did, guitar teacher stuff, not anything.
Yeah, sure. Well, like
I didn't do like anything at the con or anything like that.
Yeah, okay. But what learning? Where's the music skills coming from? Like the chords you use and the changes you use and that? Just stealing from other people?
Yeah. It's just. I guess playing covers a fair bit. You sometimes go, oh, there's an interesting little change. I wouldn't have thought. So with Bang Chang Lang, for instance, it was just a cover band, and sometimes you'd be playing it and think, oh, that's interesting that they've gone there, and it just sort of goes back into your head.
I think that's why the Beatles were the greatest.
I do too. Yeah,
those Hamburg years of just 2 years of covers. I think they just knew every chord change possible eventually.
Well, they really didn't. They just absorbed it, I think.
Yeah.
But they were playing, show tunes as well as rock and roll.
Yeah,
so
which
they
explains
did a bit of everything.
The McCartney side of all of it. But yeah, I guess if you do it that much at sort of a younger age as well, it just cements itself into your head, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I find now when I learn songs, turning 38 this year, they just don't stay in my brain anymore. The same as every song I learnt when I was a teenager, I can still play on guitar. But all of the new
I think
ones,
that's just the way your brain works as you get older.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, is it the booze? Is it?
Who knows?
What was it?
Could be a bit of everything.
Yeah. Did you? It's a question I've always wondered, and I don't know if you guys answer it. Was it like same sort of touring as other bands when the Wiggles were touring? Was it getting loose and partying much?
Not as much, no, because a couple of the guys, at various stages, like the three of them didn't drink.
Right.
And also because we'd been, like, Jeff and Anthony had been in the Cockroaches in the 80s, who were a big band, and they'd had top 10 hits and stuff, and so they did the really full-on touring.
Got it out of the system.
Yeah, I think they did, and I think by the time we hit our 30s, because I was 31 when it started, so...
Yeah, true. I guess that's it.
30, I was 30, yeah.
Just heard always people be like, I wonder what the Wiggles groupies were like, were the mums coming after everybody?
No, it didn't really happen. No,
yeah, no.
Well, look, we did, in America, we had stalkers.
Right.
Yeah. So we used to check into hotels under false names, because sometimes we'd get people just phoning us in the middle of the night.
What kind of stalkers? To what end?
Well, sometimes, getting quite... a lot of mail, and some of it became quite sexual, the stuff that they would write, and there'd be some people that you'd see in the audience all the time, and mostly they didn't really approach it, but often, sometimes they did.
But more in America than anywhere else.
Yeah, I think.
What is it?
I think there's more kooky people there because there's more people, maybe.
Yeah, I guess
we had one weird one in Australia, but in 30 years, one's not too bad. But
it's not too bad at all. What is it about America with the weirdos? I don't.
They've also got a slightly different view of celebrity. From us,
it's definitely a part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think. Australians get excited if they see celebrities, but they still kind of think they're still ordinary people, whereas Americans seem to put you up on a pedestal or something. Yeah, which, when you're playing for 3 and 4 year olds, that's kind of a bit weird, really.
Are you optimistic or pessimistic about the future of humanity?
I'm an optimist in most.
I mean, you appear that way in the way you perform.
Yeah, I really am. I recently had a heart surgery in December, and it was really, really major. It's like open heart, all that stuff. Nice. But there was no point where I thought I'm not going to get better, or I always think the best's going to, well, maybe not the best, but I always think things are going to be okay. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a lot of issues that humanity has to deal with, of course. But I think there are enough people, and I think people in the past have shown that if they get together, they really can create change. And I think that's true of the problems we have now. Might be gradual, but you see these issues raised, and I think things like climate change will be addressed, hopefully in time. But I think eventually just people power pushes these things through.
Yeah, I guess the main concern is whether there's enough time for anything to happen at this point. Yeah. I'm not too sure. I like asking people that question just to see where everyone's some of them are like, oh no, we're fucked. It's all over.
Well, it's interesting. I heard, I can't remember who he was now. He's a guy that's written a book about an American guy about climate change and what countries are doing about it. And he said he sees a lot on social media, people saying, oh, it's too late, it's all over. He said a lot of that's coming from Russia. It's like Russian bots and stuff, because they have a vested interest in fossil fuels. They're a big, that's a big part of their what they produce. And it's in their interest to not have the fossil fuel
Russian
industry
boss.
shut down. And he said that there is a lot of evidence to show that a lot of this kind of people going, it's other people obviously take it up, but a lot of it's coming from out of Russia. So I don't know if it's true or not. But
I don't know what it's finding it more and more difficult to know what's true. Of anything.
I think
anymore.
social media's made that difficult. I mean, I'm a user of social media, but it is hard sometimes. You read something and you think, oh yeah, that sounds plausible. Then later on you find out. Well,
that's
not
the
really.
problem, isn't it? It's like if it can sound plausible, then
Yeah.
I think now you've got to realize that just sounding plausible is no longer.
And I think people's idea of what's plausible varies as well.
Yeah, the conspiracy theorists are really coming out at the moment, and people that I just would not, people who appear ostensibly ordinary and normal are starting to. Yeah. And with COVID, it's really brought a whole lot out. Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of it. I follow a friend of mine put me onto a conspiracy theory Instagram, and he actually is quite into it and believes a lot of it. I just watch it for
it's good to watch
for entertainment. But the one the other day was like dinosaurs are all complete fabrications, like the Rockefellers made fake bones or whatever. And
that's an interesting one.
Yeah,
but usually it's usually evangelicals saying that God
I know,
made them to test us.
That's why I thought it was really bizarre. I'm like, the people that are supposed to be the conspiracy leftists are now like kind of come all the way back around again. Yeah. But there's like anti-Zionist things. It's like all pretty. It's getting quite extreme. And the guy's like, I don't think I can do it here anymore. You've got to follow my private Telegram, which is like the other sort of. It's like a safe place where you can say more crazy shit, basically, uncensored. Yeah. And this guy's trying to get everyone to move over there. But.
Yeah, I guess these guys used to just stand in a soapbox and. In the park.
And now
they've got this forum that wasn't there before.
I know, and you can find so many followers because it's a global thing now. Yeah. But it just seems like you could just make up anything if you wanted to and promote it, and then suddenly use it to become a way that you make money.
It does seem to be. It's like some of the ways people make money on social media. I just think, wow, that's a job,
I know.
I mean, a lot of it I like, and there's a lot of positive stuff comes out of it. But it's tiring too. I think when you're making music, it's kind of tiring that you have to keep promoting it in different ways, and the new platforms come up, and people go, "Oh, you got to do this and you got to do that." So I think it's sometimes good to just stick to a couple and.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, pick a few things.
I don't chase them all, that's for sure.
No, I don't either.
And the algorithms and.
But it's the same thing. What we're talking about, like having. With this new band that I'm in, Telenova, and the singer, she does all of the socials for us, and then Ed and I are the two music writing producer dudes. And it's right, you do that, we'll do this. That's part
good
of it.
I think if you can, if you can separate the duties,
separate it. Yeah. Was it like that with the Wiggles? I guess everyone had a sort of different.
Yeah, there was a bit, and I think that was why early on. You were asking before about the songwriting. Early on, we were all kind of writing in different groups, and we'd always like credit whoever wrote the song. And we just kind of felt as it went on that everyone did their thing, and sometimes it wasn't part of the songwriting; it might be something else. And we all brought different things to it, and so we just credited all the songs from then on, all four of us, and that really freed things up. It made the songwriting much simpler too, because no one was going, "Oh, I wrote that bit," or "I wrote that bit."
Definitely.
And so I think just psychologically, I think it's good to sort of share those things if you can.
I've always sort of believed that as well, unless you've got one super genius visionary.
And also you kind of need a stable lineup for that as well.
But no, I think it seems like it just makes for such a healthier relationship in the band. I think Chili Peppers are one of those ones where they've always split it and have managed to still stay together.
It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, like them, you two do it too, and they're still together. I mean, I wonder if there's something in that.
How does it work with the Stones? Do they?
No, it's
just Jagger
Richards.
It's just always those two, isn't it?
Yeah. That's been a source of some conflict at times, apparently.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. So what, Ronnie Wood or any of the others? I mean,
Ronnie Wood they still call the new guy. I've heard anyway.
Yeah, I have heard
He's only
that.
been there since 1975. But
They've had that black bass player guy
yeah,
for
Daryl Jones.
for a long time as well,
Yeah.
haven't they?
Yeah.
Probably like, since the 90s even, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Far out. I've still never got into that band.
Really, yeah.
No.
Oh, well, I was young.
Yeah, okay.
That kind of really great period, late 60s, early 70s, was like really when I was getting into music. So I love them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think going back listening at my age, the Beatles just has so much beautiful musicality.
Yeah,
and so
I see that too. But the Beatles are really why I got into music. So
Yeah.
it was the Beatles. Like I loved the Beatles as a young kid, and that was in the 60s when I was still doing stuff. I wasn't all that aware. I wasn't waiting. At the record shop for Sgt. Pepper to come in or anything like that. But it was mostly retrospective. But yeah, but they're like you could feel their influence in the early 70s, and I remember when George Harrison was number one, and Imagine was number one, and stuff like that.
Love George. Yeah, the Stones are just, the story seems better than the music when I've gone back to visit it.
Oh, yeah.
But again,
It depends on what you're into, I guess, as well.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
I agree. I think there's more in the Beatles for everyone. Like there's something for everyone in the Beatles.
Yeah, well, I remember when we were in primary school, it was Yellow Submarine getting sung in Octopus's Garden.
Yeah.
And I remember being at sort of, primary school, like 5 or 6, and singing songs and having the teachers getting us all singing along, and how joyful it was doing it at that age.
Yeah.
So that must have been quite a great life for you to have been able to do that for.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because something like Yellow Submarine was, they were singing that pretty early on in primary schools, because I remember doing that too, and it wasn't that long after it was a hit single. So it's like, obviously someone in the education department went, "That's a good song, let's take that." So,
Yeah.
which is surprising because most of the teachers were pretty old and conservative.
Yeah,
that-
sure.
that I
I'm
dealt with.
sort of late 80s, I suppose, by the time I was.
Yeah.
in
Even
primary
things
school.
like music. When I did music at school, but I'm not sure what I got out of it, because it was all just about classical music. There was a lot of
It still has
harmony
been for
theory.
even with people that I know that are in, a lot of the other artists and musicians I talk to in my age didn't go to music or get much out of it at high school either for that reason. I mean, it must be different now, I suppose.
I think it is, and I think you can do you could do performance then, but playing guitar and singing a song probably wouldn't have been considered all that, all that
it was so classical.
favourably. Yeah.
We were just really lucky. We had a teacher who let us basically just come into the music room and play whatever we wanted. He had drums, guitar, and bass set up, and could just play Nirvana, Metallica, whatever it was that was sort of titillating us at the time. And then he'd teach the curriculum maybe one class a week, and then the rest would just let us go.
Yeah.
But no one else I know had that experience.
No. Well, I don't think we had guitars, bass, and drums.
No,
at
they
school
wouldn't.
in
Yeah,
those
right. I
days.
know.
Yeah. No, I think it has changed, and for the better. And I think it's because school should also be like, if you're teaching music at school, it should be about developing a love of music. I think, and I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And letting the people sort of choose what it is that they actually want to learn. Yeah, I did a little bit of teaching. I was working at the Salvos for a while, and some of the younger people would bring in some Pink songs and some like songs that were mainstream ones that I just was like, I fucking hate that shit. But then once I started teaching it and learning it for them and showing them, like, this is cool. If this is what you want to learn, this will lead you. And also that's sort of based on a song from the Beatles or something, and you can like sort of show them and guide them through it. But
I think that's really important for young people to see where these things came from. I think it's really good if they do. Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been a sad life without music. And
yeah. Well, I was fortunate in my teens. I was really fortunate because there was a band. There was a band in the 80s called the Reels, who were like
The what, sorry?
The Reels.
Okay.
Look them up. They were really innovative at the time, and they were fairly popular. But anyway, their keyboard player lived. They were from Dubbo, but their keyboard player lived in Orange like before the Reels, and I knew him. He was a bit older than me, but he was like an amazing musician.
Right.
And he kind of mentored us a bit, and we did things at school like there was a production of Godspell, and so me and some other guys were in the band, and this guy Colin, kind of came in and MD'd it, and changed some of the parts up, and that was just really great because at the time, there weren't that many kids at school who wanted to play in bands. There were a few, but so that was a really great experience for me. And then when I moved to Sydney, the guys in the Transistors and Finger Guns, I went to school with down here because I did my last 2 years at school in Sydney. So it was really great when I got here and I was like, oh yeah, we play.
Yeah, when you find the other people who are as into it as you, it's amazing.
And so Mark, the main guy from those bands, is still probably my best friend. And that's over 40 years. We've known each other for 40 something years.
Very nice. Hey, you did a Lee and Nancy tribute show, is that right?
I did do that for a while. Yeah, it's still going. I had to opt out because the Soul Movers got too busy. But it's with Zoe Carides, who's an actress that some people might know.
Who's Lee?
A guy called Scott Holmes. He did a lot of sort of different things in the 80s, but he sort of hadn't sung for a while.
Has he got it down, or is he?
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's good.
I've been listening to a lot of those two.
Yeah. No, it was great fun playing those songs too. Yeah, I played bass in that band, and it was.
I see you play the bass as well.
Yeah.
What do you? I'm starting to find more joy in bass playing now. I mean, I played guitar for 20 years, and then bass has been like the last 5 or something. And
it's a great instrument, I think, because it's like guitar, but it's not guitar.
I just feel like you're more in control as well.
Yeah,
I feel like you become like the king of the band when you're on the bass.
And it is that feeling when you
it's the fattest
playing with the drummer. And, I like it too. I guess playing guitar just lately because we had Tony Mitchell playing bass with us. He plays on like half the set, and Matt, who normally plays bass, goes over to guitar, and he's a really good guitar player too. And I kind of like it because it takes the pressure off. Than being the only guitar player, and I can kind of stop and muck around a bit more.
Yes, I guess that's probably why I like being the bass player. So I'm the only one.
You play you play on every bar. Usually.
And I call it lead bass as well. It's a place to shine, and it has been a lot of fun. Hey, what song could you happily never hear ever again by anyone else?
We Built This City by Starship. That must be a popular one, isn't it?
No one said that, but that is a great... Because I always... One of mine's the Final Countdown, which I feel like it's the same song. Yeah. I guess it's most...
They came out about the same time, I think.
Build the City. I haven't heard that enough for it to drive me...
I've just heard it a bit recently, and I guess it's just horror memories from that time. But it's also because they came out of Jefferson Airplane, who are a really great band, like Grace Slick and Marty Balin and Paul Kantner. And they morphed into this sort of AOR monstrosity.
Yeah, that's a big one. My other one, Sweet Child of Mine's getting there for me now.
It's funny with Guns N' Roses. Like, I felt like it's something I should... Like, on paper, it sounds like something I should have really loved, but... I don't like Axl's voice on it. I think that's what puts me off.
The songs sound like they're getting worse, even though they're the same song. It's like they're
not aging well.
But yet their band is becoming more and more massive. I was in LA a few years ago, and like Guns N' Roses is getting back together again for the tour, and all the radio stations were just going wild about it and playing it.
They are very loved in LA, though, I guess.
But I think even here.
Here too. Yeah.
And then I watched.
Apologies to anyone who loves Guns N' Roses.
No apologies. Fuck them. Got to be a little contentious. Do you find yourself getting grumpy at particular bands or artists sometimes to yourself when you put the radio on or anything?
It's funny. I think I've become actually more mellow about it. I just kind of think, well, if people like it, I don't. It doesn't really worry me that much. But the funny thing is, just lately, because when I was a teenager, my mum used to listen to this station 2CH, which is and they played like, crooners and like it was oldies, but it was like stuff that your mum in the 70s.
I would like to listen to that now.
Yeah, well, it's funny because at the time it was like, awful, that's awful, and I've been listening to it in the car. But they play mostly 60s and 70s stuff now. But it's a funny one because they'll have like one great song. They play things like Dylan and stuff, like Positively 4th Street and stuff, like quite, not just the hits.
Yeah, sure.
But then they'll play, I've Never Been to Me. I think that was one I heard the other day. I don't know that one.
Well, that's from a musical, is it?
I don't know. I don't think so. No. Yeah, no, I don't think it is. It was just a song. Yeah.
Is it just a song?
Yeah, it's awful though.
Yeah. But I think at least something about that production era. So even if the song is a super saccharine, I sort of quite happy just hearing those arrangements.
Yeah.
Whereas with more mainstream stuff, it just kind of...
It's funny because I, in my late teens, early 20s, that was kind of the punk era. So, I was... Well, when the Sex Pistols put out their first single, I was 16. And I didn't get into it straight away, but I did a bit. But all these guys I know who were old punks and at the time, young punks, and they sort of dissed anything earlier than that, like the Beatles and everything, and any pop stuff from the 70s. But now I see them on Facebook and stuff, and they're like, oh, I've been listening to 2CH and they played this and that, or, I've been listening to some other oldies, or I always hated the Eagles, but I kind of like them now.
The Eagles, yeah, wow. Do you find, is this sort of like a cut-off point as you get older where it's hard to embrace new music as well?
Yeah, I think so. It's hard to, I find in the information age too, it's hard to, there's so much out there that it's hard to find what you like. And I find that the channels that used to be where I'd hear stuff like Triple J or... I just don't...
Triple J's
like
for children as well.
Yeah,
I think it was always for young
of course,
people.
Yeah. And I've said that to people sort of my age and a bit younger when they go, oh, Triple J's crap. And it's like, it's not really for you.
It's not for you at all.
But that's the thing, I guess, a lot of new music. So finding new music that I like or that follows the train that I've been on, I guess, is difficult. I do try to make an effort because I don't want to be that guy that, and I'm certainly not that guy that goes, music's been crap since 1995.
The music died with Cobain.
Yeah. No, I'm not that guy at all. But I do acknowledge that I'm gradually losing touch.
Yeah, I just find it's hard to find things that really get me super excited like it was when you were younger. Is it just because you've heard everything now when you hear it, you're like, oh, that's just based on that other band, and then they're doing a little bit of that thing. They've used that producer, it's that drum sound, and you just start to be able to like pull it to pieces. Sometimes
I do that, but every now and then, I hear something that sounds like it could have come out in 1984, and I don't mean like Duran Duran kind of 1984, but like the sort of more underground stuff, and I kind of go, or the 90s, and if it's a good song, I just kind of think, I kind of like this. But I do. But I also think, we have heard it before. But then I guess there's
Yeah, I guess you've always heard it before, haven't you? Really. And then the stuff that's the most innovative, cutting edge music. I'm sometimes like, I don't know if it's good yet. Because it's still being created. So it's like maybe it's awful. But just because it's new doesn't mean that it's actually something really fresh or amazing for your ears.
Yeah. I guess, this is going back now, but I've had discussions with people about Radiohead, and I prefer the sort of the Bends and
early Radiohead. Sure.
And I have said to people, I kind of like them more when they wrote songs, but I think that's partly me not embracing some of the new sounds that they had and maybe not recognising the songs, but there just seem to be lots of just blips and bloops. In some of it.
Tom York got really blip and bloopy.
Which sure. I don't mind that either, but it took a few listens to get into some of the later stuff.
Well, I like that Idiotech one though, and that's all blips and bloops.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But his solo stuff is just too computery for me. I find. Yeah. But I guess that's true with the bands. It's Johnny Greenwood playing real sweet guitar as well. It's such an amazing guitar vibe, and then I guess he just got tired of playing guitar. And then sort of just...
Well, that's fair enough. I totally admire what they do, and I respect it, and I think it's great that there's a band that's been around for a long time and they're still trying to
do they split the songwriting?
What's that?
Do they split the songwriting 5 ways?
I don't know. Maybe they do.
They must.
I think they do.
They have to if they're still together.
That's our new theory.
I've thought about it's something I've always thought about. Yeah, it has to be, right? Yeah. That band is amazing to me. That the five of them, all still alive, all still making music, and it's whether you love their music, new music or not, it's still really still good.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Not many people that can kind of have ever pulled that off.
No.
It's starting to become like an iconic legacy act in that way.
Yeah.
How did that DZ Death Race thing come about?
That was the guy who was doing the video, the director. He just had some idea that he wanted to sort of connect it to some sort of innocence, and he saw the Wiggles as being that. And so the idea was that I was this, at the start of the video, I was this cranky old man, and I've gradually turned into the guy from the Wiggles. I don't know if there's much more concept than that, but
doesn't need to be.
But it's great, and it was at a time, and I'm still open to a lot of things, but it was at a time when I was pretty much saying yes to anything. If people came to me and with an idea, because after the Wiggles, I wasn't really sure where I was going, and I was actually I've said this before in interviews, but I was a little bit kind of lost, even though it was my decision to do it.
Still doesn't mean you're going to...
Yeah, so it probably took a few years to really feel comfortable, and I had lots of times where I thought, I made the wrong decision, and anyway, so I did quite a few different things. I was playing in about 6 bands at one stage, but it just got too out of hand. But yeah, when Gus, the director, came to me, and I think it was through DZ's management. Yeah, DZ's management, because I think they manage someone else. I know their record company does Violent Soho as well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I knew those guys just from awards nights and stuff. And anyway, so they tracked me down and asked me to do it, and I said yeah. And then it made a fairly big splash. And and then they said they were doing Splendor that year. I think it was the year before last, was it? Maybe. And they said I'll come up and play on the song with us and do a cover as well. So we did Highway to Hell by AC/DC.
Nice.
But it was really great because big crowd, big production, big everything, and the audience didn't know I was there, and then they said, we've got a special guest, and I came out, and because they're all Wiggles kids, they all grew up with the Wiggles.
Of course.
It was really great. It was just fun. I like the kind of weirdness of it. I love the fact that I'm going on stage with these young guys, but I'm the guy from the Wiggles, and the audience is loving it. And then then we play an AC/DC song as well.
Yeah, that's good.
Which was kind of our connection from my era and their era a bit. So
yeah, it must be also having played to children a lot. I mean, obviously you've played to a lot of adults as well, but it's such a different kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially
because it's
a festival full of wasted people. Usually it is different.
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, I went out a couple of times to just watch bands, but I couldn't really stay out there too long because every second or every few seconds, can I get a photo? Can I get a photo?
Yeah.
Which I don't actually mind, but it just
gets too much at a festival. Yeah, if you've been on stage and someone's seen you and then you're out the front, they just hound you.
Yeah.
Are your children, the Wiggles' children, into music? Is it going to continue forever? Will they keep the legacy going?
Not mine. They like music, but they and my daughter's played a bit of piano and violin. Yeah, just that kind of just as part of her growing up. But my son's the creative, the more creative one. That's a bit unkind. He draws. He does like comic book and graphic novel art, and he's actually studying. He should be in New Jersey at a school called the Cubit School, which specialises in this stuff. But he's doing it online here now because of COVID.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll go back for the third year, which starts in September. So he does that. I think Anthony's eldest daughter dances. Yeah, I think his younger ones play music.
Would they? Does the band keep going though? Does the Wiggles go forever?
I don't know. We didn't know it'd still be going now. So I think with some things like that, I mean, you plan up to a point, but then you have to cross the bridge when you come to it. But yeah,
I just wondered
I
if
can't
the
see
sort
why
of-
not.
if the children would your children.
yeah, I don't
would
think it'll
sort
be
of
our
take-
children take over, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Hey, that's plenty, Murray.
Cheers,
Thank
Josh.
you very much.
Yeah, my
Pleasure
pleasure.
chatting
It's
with
nice
you.
talking to you.
Very good. Thank you, Murray Cook. It was a real pleasure getting to chat. What a legend. The stories were all true. He's such a lovely guy. Just want to say a big thanks to Bernadette Novembre for helping with today's episode by connecting Murray and I. Now, Murray's band, The Soul Movers, have a brand new record out entitled Evolution. Go and take a listen. It's available all the places you would expect. I've also put a few links in the podcast description to some Murray-related things. The Soul Movers video for their single Hot Sauce and the Wiggles covering Tame Impala and a few other things, so make sure you check it out. All right, that's it for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in. Back soon with more Bottom of It interviews. Until then, stay safe, get your vaccine jab if that's what you want, or don't get it if you don't want to. I don't know what the answer is. I have no idea what I'm going to do. Going to try and avoid it for a while and see if I can get away with it. Don't want to turn into a Bill Gates robot. I don't know. Anyway, cool. Thank you. See you later. Goodbye.